Thank you all for being here today. Especially thank you to our media partners who's going to help us spread some news out there. First, we're going to have Chief Drew go over some statistics, and then Mayor Philip Jones is going to make remarks. After that, we'll take a few questions. Also, if you notice the QR code right by the door, after the conference, about 11:15, it'll go live, and there'll be a summary of the press conference as well as some slides if you'd like to use those. So without further ado, Chief Drew.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, good morning. Do I need that microphone, or can you all hear me okay? Need the microphone. All right, so first of all, good morning. And I'm here today with the mayor and our city manager, Mr. Archer, just to share some news with our community. I think it's important to be open and transparent, and we're going to share a little bit about where we are on gun violence. That's a big focus on our department, as it is departments across the country, and where we look around mid-year this year. So I'm going to broadcast some numbers and an accomplishment that we as a city, our department, we as a community have come together and resulted. But before I start, I want to make sure that I acknowledge a couple things. I know there are people in this room that have lost loved ones to gun violence. I see specifically three: Ms. Capehart, Mr. Rayborn, members of the Uri Lewis family. You matter to me, and you matter to this city. And I appreciate your support and trust in us. And those that are here that take part, and we'll touch base a little bit on as we go through some of our partners, so I will hit on some of those. But I wanted to acknowledge the three family members that are here today that have lost loved ones in our city. You matter. And as we talk about numbers and statistics, please remember that every one of those numbers and statistics represent an individual. They represent a family, a community in our city, and they matter. They're important. But as we go forward, I would like to share with you our 2024 mid-year update on gun violence. As you can see in the slide, the first slide that we're going to talk about is here we are from homicides from January 1st, and we cut this off. I tried to make it as accurate as I could to July 21st. So this time last year, the city had experienced 20 homicides. To date, we sit at 9. We can clap for that, right? That's an achievement. That's an achievement. A collective achievement. When I talk about our overall shootings, these are non-fatal shootings. From January again to July 21st, this time last year we had a total of, am I reading that right? 50, we got to look at the big, 52 compared to 36 this year. And we're going to talk about some things that have helped us achieve that, to decrease that number, and that's important. So these are our shootings, non-fatal shootings. I put a slide here to talk about our clearance rates, because when we do have victims, right, when we have individuals that crime or loss or injured, it's important that we solve those crimes, that we bring those cases, we hold those accountable. So I just want you to see in the column, the first column is the incidents, the second column is how many are cleared. That means individuals have been charged or arrested year to date. The third column shows our clearance rate. And then the last column is set by the FBI, the national average. So the FBI, the national average, says they look at departments across the country, cities across the country, you should be clearing about 52% of your homicides, and you can see where we're at. And the big one I want to hit is that's an 88.9% clearance rate in homicides. And that's not just homicides that occurred this year, that is collectively that we solved this year. And it's important to remember that those individuals who've lost loved ones in years past, that we don't take our eye off of that, right? They are still hurting. They are still hurting. And although that an arrest may not erase that hurt, it does provide some closure and some accountability. And that's important for all of us to keep a part of, keep in mind. I wanted to try and just look a little bit at, as in the police department, we're always looking at numbers, always looking at data. What's driving us? Are our methods working? Do we need to adjust? Do we need to change? So I wanted to take a snapshot of where we were with homicides and shootings just for the summer. So when we started out in June 1st, and again, trying to make it as accurate as I could, we got our fresh numbers out on Monday, to July 21st of this year, homicides in our city are down from 9 to 3. 3 individuals have lost their lives this summer compared to 9 that occurred last year. And when I look at our shootings, we're down significantly from 22 to 11%. So let's talk about what those decreases are, right? That's a 60% decrease in homicides for our summer and 50% decrease in shootings. That's significant. Now, We're going to talk a little bit, the next slides, we're going to talk a little bit about how I think we've got there, but that's important. So what are some of the strategies that we're using here in the police department and here in our city to address those, to achieve those numbers, to hit those marks? What we're encouraged to talk about today. First is I wanted to highlight our operation with the Bold Blue Line and Operation Ceasefire. That's some of the tactics that we have that promoting gun awareness, addressing gun violence, getting the community involved, working with our grassroots organizations. Operation Blue Line is our partnership with the state police. As we saw a spike last summer, we asked for some assistance and partnership with our state, local, and federal partners, but we actually had a couple of members of state troopers here worked with us, and we decided to do that again this year, but start sooner, right? It's important that we don't start focusing on the summer in the summer. The things that we do in April and May can kind of set the tone for what we have going into the summer. Our strategic focus on violent offenders, those individuals that we know are causing harm in our community, those individuals that we know are involved in gang activity, and my hope is that they turn from that they get out of that lifestyle, that they make better choices. But we cannot allow individuals to hurt or take advantage of other people, to inflict violence. And we talk about mothers and loved ones and families that are here today that have lost loved ones to gun violence. So we have to start ahead of that and focus on those individuals. We still focus on some geographic areas where we have seen some violence, but we also attack that with our real-time crime center and technology. Now, none of those things would be the ability to have those if we didn't have our city administration support, our mayor's support, and city council that move funding that we can push those items. Technology continues to advance, and how do we use that? Not only is that important in what we do to reduce crime and solve crime, but it's extremely important when we go into a courtroom, right? When judges and juries and attorneys want to see that type of evidence. That plays a key role, and I like to say we're on the forefront of the use of technology and how we address crime issues with technology, but also are accountable in how we use it. It's not just a carte blanche approach. Training and our community outreach. I have individuals here from the state, DCJS, Mr. Coker is here, that we talk about how do we use more training to decrease, how to de-escalate situations. Issues with domestic violence, issues with individuals that were repeatedly going to houses on domestic type situations, anger situations, neighborhood arguments or beefs that go back and forth. We're injecting more and more training in our academy to de-escalate that. Our partnership with the fire department that deals with mental illness, calls that we're sending officers to, and instead of pulling back and using the care unit to address individuals that might have some mental illness issues, that we can address a different way. So training and community outreach, our grassroots organization, I know Mr. Ketchmore's here, Abyss is here, the stuff that they do in our communities, the conversations that we have, and I appreciate those on the weekends or late night or after events when we sit back and talk. What else can we do? Those things are important. And then our community partnerships, not only with our grassroots organizations, but our volunteers that work in the police department, individuals that meet us where we need to meet, that we walk together and hold conversations together. Those things are important. Our state, local, and federal partners, they make all the difference. Because as I've talked to the mayor and our city manager at length, in late nights and early mornings and on the weekends, that we cannot, as the police department, address this issue on our own. It is a collective city approach. And I'm encouraged by that, by what I see in the room today. The last slide I just want to share with you is sort of what we just sort of talked about. I'm not going to list all of these, but these are our partners that we work with. Public schools, our young adult police commissioners. We have 5 high school students in the room today that work with me and talk to me about how we have to address things differently, how crime looks from their eyes in the city, what they want to see. That's important. The Boys and Girls Club, members of the NAACP, that we've had open forums right here to talk about violence and what can we do better. Those things matter. So as I step out of the way, I just wanted to show you when we talk about a 55% decrease in homicide, a 55% decrease so far this year in homicide. But still remember that those numbers represent people. And we continue. That's why we work so hard. That's why the men and women in uniform that do this job, it matters to them. It matters to them. So I appreciate, I'm going to step out of the way and turn it over to the mayor, but I appreciate those that came today, and I am thankful and appreciative of the work that you guys do day in and day out, especially the men and women that give up tireless effort, and I appreciate you.